Yes, yes, you are. You are tuned in to the Andrew Gosser Show on Friday, October 3rd, 2025. Praise the Lord, it's Friday. Happy to be here. Look, we're streaming on Rumble. We're streaming on X. We're streaming on YouTube. And we're streaming at WYAB.com, the mothership. We appreciate everybody who's tuning into the airwaves. The radio station always comes first, but if you can't get this radio signal for some reason, please pick us up on streaming and listen to us there. If you want to follow me on X, the opportunity is there. I'd appreciate it. It's Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. And look, the phone lines are open. 601 879 0002. The text line is open. 601 879 5060. Appreciate everybody who texts in and gives me heads up on stories and stuff. I read them all. I don't always get to respond to everyone, but I do appreciate the feedback. The mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show, standard. We are here to equip you, the saints, and we will do that. We'll continue to use our preferred way of going after things. Harsh words incite anger, but gentle answers turn away wrath. And we just want to make sure that we're doing that. We always want to make sure that we're dropping truth bombs, but if we don't have to pour gasoline and blow it all to smithereens, well, that's my preferred way to do stuff. That doesn't mean I won't break out the GBU 27 and plan it. That does have to happen from time to time. But hey, we're there. Hope everybody's got a great weekend planned. It's going to be pretty lit for us. Looking for a great weekend in a couple days coming ahead. So we have to start. There's only one place to start. And we're going to start not inside Mississippi or not even inside the United States of America. We are going to go to Great Britain because Great Britain is having the exact same problem we are having, and quite frankly, many of the Western countries are having, whether it be in Europe, United States, North America. You are seeing Muslim immigration come in and start to take over culture. And people can't see it yet, but it's like we are in a war. We are in a world war where we're being invaded, but no one's really doing anything yet to try to stop it, other than President Trump. President Trump has been moving mountains with ICE and the different means to actually deport these illegal aliens who are here. But here you go. Now, in today's society, we hear about a church getting shot up. We hear about a synagogue getting shot up, stabbings. We always have perceptions in our mind, and we're always told, hey, don't have bias. Just let the facts come out and let the chips fall where they may. Well, yesterday, when a Manchester synagogue was attacked and 2 people were stabbed at the synagogue, and then the bad guy ended up getting shot, they did not release his name. And I was like, you know what? We need just lay low. Let's let the news media do its thing. And they ended up releasing his name. And look, I'm not even going to play the game. I'm not even going to let you pick the first name. But if you're thinking what I'm thinking, I would have said, you know what? This is a attack on Jews there in Manchester. I don't know who it is, but I'm going to say it's probably somebody from a different religion. And it turns out the attacker's name, who stabbed 2 Jews in front of a synagogue, on a peaceful day, nothing going on. Jihad al-Shahmi. Jihad al-Shami, 35-year-old British man of Syrian descent, drove a car through people outside the Heaton Park Hebrew Congregation Synagogue before attacking bystanders with a knife. He was shot dead by police at the scene. That's scary. I'm not sure those of us who are in Mississippi who really follow politics have the time or the bandwidth to follow what's going on overseas. And I guess that's why it takes all of us, right? It takes Clay, it takes Kim, it takes Chip, it takes Lindsay and Sean, it takes Charlie Kirk's show, Officer Tatum's show. It takes all of us because there's simply so much more that's happening so fast. We can't even digest it all. Even AI is it's funny to watch how AI grinds through stuff. And has anybody noticed lately that their AI cues, at least for me and Grok, the AI cues are getting longer and longer. We're sucking up more and more energy into these data centers, and we are just not there yet. We are just not there yet. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer condemned the attack, which took place on Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. So think about that. Not only did they, I mean, so clearly this would be considered a hate crime, would it not? Would it not? I don't know. I think it kind of would be. What's really insane is that the government over in England has been very pro-Muslim. They're for the country of Palestine. They're for setting up mosques in places that are traditionally Christian and conservative. Well, Keir Starmer, you just faffoed yourself. You fooled around, and now you're finding out because all the pro-Palestinian Islamists are now outside Keir Starmer's home, threatening him and his family. And you can see it there. There's police vans. It doesn't look like it's England. It looks like it's somewhere in the Middle East. What's really troubling with all this is these people are sitting there screaming right now, but if they were actually put back to wherever they came from, they would not want to go back. England is a billion times better than anything coming out of the Gaza Strip, or even Israel for that matter. Israel was really sweet in the 90s, but it's just changed so much. A lot of it's not like what you remember if you had the chance to go. It's one of those things where the attacks are slowly starting to build up. And look, I am not defending Israel in any of this. But when you're just walking to synagogue, when you're walking to temple, when you're walking to church, when you're walking to mosque, that's not the time for you to be worrying about, am I going to get shot? Am I going to get stabbed? And again, this comes up all the time, and no one's taken me up on this offer yet, but debate where our morals come from in the United States. I'd love to do that. Would love to do that. So that's like the first part of this. So we know that the immigration is a problem in England. We know it's a problem in France. We know it's a problem all across Europe and here in the United States. Specifically Portland, right? President Trump has said that immigrants who are here illegally need to go. And the city of Portland, keep Portland weird, No, not really. Let's get it back to the way it was 20, 30 years ago. That would be great. They're having all sorts of problems. The local police refuse to do anything against Antifa. Honestly, this just hit me. This is probably the most dangerous situation in all of America right now. Because if the police are not gonna stand up for the citizens who are quiet, they're gonna sit there and tolerate Antifa because that's the more difficult decision to do, then we are in deep trouble because that means the police are gonna start doing exactly what the police are doing in England, which is arresting all the good guys and all the troublemakers and rabble-rousers who are outside protesting, trashing stuff, creating violence, creating uncertainty, doubt, fear. They all get off scot-free. That's the scary part for me, is when our law enforcement don't do what they're supposed to do. So, last night, Thursday night, while Antifa was going nuts, and you do not have to believe me for this, you can go on X, highly recommend everybody get on X, and follow my guy, Nick Sortor. It's just at Nick Sortor, Nicksortor. How many Antifa thugs did Portland PD arrest last night? Nope, none. But you know who they did end up arresting? Brother Nick Sortor, a conservative journalist documenting everything that's going on. You see, Antifa doesn't like being photographed in public. And you've got some people out there who are brave as heck going out there documenting this. And what happens to Brother Nick? He gets surrounded. They start pushing and shoving. The police come over and say, "Oh, is it all these people? Or is it this one guy? Oh, it's just one guy causing a problem. We're going to get him. We're going to book him for disorderly conduct in the second degree." And he goes to appear before the judge on October 6th, 2025. That's Monday. Hey, at least you're getting quick service. You're not sitting there having to wait 15 months to get a trial. But do you see the problem here? Do you see the link between what's going on in England and what's going on here? England's handling it one way, Trump's handling it a different way. I'll tell you this, they are arresting more Antifa thugs out of Portland, and the deal is once they get caught, they turn into little, well, I can't say the word, but all of a sudden they're not so hard. The truth is that most of these people in these mobs, in these crowds, are just live action role playing. They're along for the ride. Don't get me wrong, there are some really bad dudes and bad chicks in those crowds, but it is nothing like the video would make you want to believe. Eh, the Antifa people, they sit there and they go out, and when they're enforced, they feel this power, but you notice when daylight comes up, they fade away. Why is that? Evil doesn't like the light. Darkness doesn't like the truth. And the bottom line is that Portland and the state of Oregon are in a world of hurt. And with President Trump sending 200 troops in there to defend the ICE facility, those people that start coming out there's somebody who poured red paint all over the ICE facility and shows up a day later covered in red paint. What do you think is gonna happen? You're gonna get hooked up. I like that kind of hookup. Again, these are live action role players who aren't necessarily thinking with all of their faculties. This is where we're starting off today on the Andrew Gosser Show. It's going to be a great show. We've got so much more to talk about. We'll be right back, everybody. And we are back here on the Andrew Gosser Show. If you do go to my X account at Andrew Gosser, you will see I just tweeted a story, and I want to repeat this. Now, I use full disclosure. I use a news aggregating source, Ground News. I also have other algorithms and other websites that I check, but I do enjoy it because it gives me a lot of different places to go pull items for the story. And sometimes I'll use a right wing source, and sometimes I'll use a left wing source. And in this case, I've chosen to use the left wing source just because it almost sounds just this is news. Loser. MAGA influencer taunted by onlookers after arrest for street fight in Portland. And it's got a picture and a quick 4-second bloop video of it. Early Friday morning, MAGA influencer, in quotations. Nick Sorter was released from Portland jail cell after allegedly getting in a street fight with anti-ICE protesters late Thursday night near an immigration and customs enforcement facility, reports CNN. Look, I appreciate those of you who want to go out there and fight the good fight, but and I would tell this to all my troops that I was in charge of, whether I was their flight commander or whatever. Brothers, nothing good's going to happen out in town after 11 o'clock at night. Just shut it down. And you know, I can count 4 times where I've gotten calls after 11 o'clock at night where I had to go get somebody out of trouble. And they still got cooked, don't get me wrong. But it's never good when your flight commander has to go down to the local Huskow to get somebody out of jail. It's just not good. And let's just be truthful here, brother Nick. I support you. I follow Nick on X, and you should too. It's just Nick Sordor. But man, I'm honestly questioning life's choices at that moment in time. Because I'm not sure what is supposed to happen after 11 o'clock at night with a bunch of angry people banging drums, fires in the street. I mean, what do you hope to obtain out of that situation? What is the goal? I'm just telling you, being out that late at night, not good. But brother Nick, he went out there to record it. In a video posted to X and Blue Sky, Sorter can be seen putting in restraints by Portland police officers on bikes as onlookers taunting him with a bunch of words that I can't use here on WYAB because Matt doesn't want to pay the fine, and I don't want to pay the fine. And so, but just rest assured they dropped a bunch of profanity. So these people in a residential neighborhood, which is where the ICE facility is, it's right next to a residence neighborhood. These anti-ICE protesters can go and keep the neighborhood up all night, banging their drums, blaring their music. You know, there's been, if you go and search on this online, there have been hundreds of complaints against these ICE protesters. What have the cops done about it? Nothing. So you get Trump to send in the troops to do something. Quite frankly, this is what happens when you have police departments and other law enforcement agencies who don't do what the public expects. And they're not expecting them to sit there and become MAGA red. No. But you know what? Those people that live in that residential neighborhood deserve not to have some hippie stoned out of his head banging on a drum at 2 o'clock in the morning complaining about ICE. That is not anybody's standard, left or right. Well, let me rephrase that. Half of the left and all of the right agree with that. The left right now is in a glorious position, although you would never believe it if you listen to the talking heads on MSNBC/MS Now/BS Always, CNN, ABC, the usual suspects. They're like, oh, the Republicans are being blamed for this. Everything's going to hell for the Republicans. And then you go out there and start talking to people, and everybody's like, no, we're with Trump. We're with what's going on. The mainstream media still thinks it can gaslight the heck out of America and quite frankly, the world. It's kind of like what's happening in England with all this immigration stuff. It's like they've been gaslit for so long, the English and the Irish, they've been gaslit for so long, and now the the news media comes out and says, "There's nothing going on here." It's like The Naked Gun Part 33 and a third where the fireworks I think that's the right one, right? Where the fireworks are going off. "Nothing to see here, nothing to pay attention to here. Carry on, move along." Nah. There are many other news agencies like the Raw story, and I do use left-wing news sources just so I can illustrate their absurdity. And like I said, I know I am not getting those who are already on the right or those on the far left, but those of you who are in the middle or lean to the left, I'm just asking you to look at this and make your own determination. I'm trying to plant some seeds that will grow and bear good fruit in your life. And the headlines that are coming out of this arrest by on Nick Sordor, it's it's expected, I would say. CNN took a much better headline. Conservative influencer Nick Sordor released after arrest in fight outside Portland ICE building, police say. Well, there's a bunch of video, so I can't wait to see the fight. I haven't been be able to see it yet. X hasn't populated in my timeline. I do have some filters on my timeline, so I don't see violence or anything. Oops, sorry about that. Violence or anything like that. I have to specifically go and look for it, which is what I like. And so I have not seen the actual full video. I did see a video of him being in cuffs and walking away, but there's no video of any fight. So I guess we're gonna have to Freedom of Information request all the body cams of them breaking up the fight with Nick Sordor and the Antifa thugs. Yep, that's what we're gonna have to do. And there is some good coverage. I don't feel like I need to read Fox News or anything like that. Looking at whoop, I hit the wrong button. I was looking at Nick Sordor's timeline, but I clicked off of it, but that's okay. Andy No, for those of you who don't know, he also is a independent journalist. Full disclosure, he leans to the right. He's openly homosexual. He says that. I just say that because I want people to know. If you see something that he posts and you're like, "Hey, Andy," I'm just letting you know. And I like Andy No. His reporting tends to be, if it's not dead on, it is so close. He's one of the more accurate independent journalists out there on X, and he's just at Mr. Andy No, MrAndyngo, and he's got a video of this, and I'm not going to play it because there's cussing on it. But the bottom line is that you've got Antifa terrorists marauding up and down the streets of Portland after 10 o'clock on a weeknight. And the police can't take care of that, but they can take care of a conservative just sitting there minding in his own business. It's going to be interesting to see where this follows. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We're going to take another break. We will be right back. Yep. We're just galloping on into the next segment of the show here at the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. I love that intro song. It just gets me pumped and motivated. This segment is brought to you by iGear Optical, located in Pearl, Mississippi. Bruce Bennett is the owner there, and he just does a great job of finding the best pair of glasses that are going to work within your budget and are going to last a long time. Not worried about any big box stores. Bruce has been here a long time. You can go ahead and visit him at igearoptical.com. And he's also going to be open from Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Bruce is doing a great job. I really appreciate you supporting the show, Bruce. Thank you so much. And we're going to go ahead and continue on into the show. So we were talking about in the last segment how you had independent journalists covering what's happening in Portland, because that's the only place you're actually going to get real news. And the police end up getting rid of the people who are actually reporting what's going on there. And we sit there and we laugh about it, but at the same time, a lot of us, I feel, are really upset because we believe in the thin blue line. We believe in the rule of law. We're not saying every cop is perfect, but we believe in that rule of law. And when police mistakes are made by the police, they're corrected. But that's not what's happening in Portland. It is just a complete chaos. Well, leave it to CBS. If you remember them, they fooled around and found out, slicing up the Kamala Harris video, and they ended up having to pay an excessive amount, upwards over 30, I want to say 30 million. It's 30 million in fines, penalties, and future considerations. And the people who bought CBS News don't want anything to do with the old guard. They do not want anything to do. They are bringing in Barry Weiss. And if you don't know who Barry Weiss is, Barry Weiss was an editor at the New York Times, but she quit the New York Times because she said the editorial board was too much to the left and was getting in the way of actually reporting the news. So she went out and started her own news media organization. It's called the Free Press, not to be confused with Citizens Free Press, but just the Free Press. And if you want to believe what's about to come out of CBS moving into the future, Paramount Sundance, which is the company that owns CBS, is about to buy the Free Press. How much do you think she started that company from a laptop in her bedroom? A journalist organization, a news organization. How much do you think that woman is going to get for her news organization? 15 million, 25 million, 30 million, 50 million, 100 million, 150 million, 150 million, $150 million is what Paramount Skydance is going to pay Barry Weiss to buy out the Free Press and then put her in charge of the newsroom at CBS. All those leftist journalists, propaganda monsters over at CBS, fooled around, and we are now just slightly entering the find out phase. Miss Amelia, it was $150 million is what Barry Weiss is going to get paid for Free Press, for the Free Press. And again, this is coming from the Independent, a left-wing source. I'll go ahead and post this right now on X so that those of you who want to read the full article, I genuinely agree that is one of the best things about this show is that we have that communication going back and forth where you can all see what I'm reading and thinking and saying. And then, the chat is awesome. The text messages are awesome. I appreciate it all. Long story short is she's getting paid $150 million, and then she's gonna be the editor in chief of CBS News. So and does this mean that CBS News is just gonna trend to the right? No, I think it's gonna actually just become a little bit more factual. There will always be bias in reporting. You'll hear bias in the way I speak. It's just what we are. It's not bias in and of itself isn't a bad thing. But when you try to pass off your bias as not having any bias and you're injecting your individual opinion into a factual news story, well, then that's where we have problems. Weiss, 41, a former New York Times opinion writer and editor who dramatically quit the paper in 2020, citing bullying and frustration with the editorial policy she perceived as too far left-leaning, is expected to formally be announced in the role as early as Monday. Man, can you imagine rolling up at CBS News? You've been this left-wing propagandist, mark for the Democrat Party, whatever they need, gets on CBS News. Monday morning at 6:45, Miss Berry rolls up. Doom, 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 doo, 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 doom. I'm not saying I'm gonna take joy in watching people at CBS lose their jobs, but I am gonna take joy in people at CBS finding greener pastures because their services are no longer required. There are other journalists out there who can report without all the quote unquote nuance and spin and hot garbage that we've been peddled down our throats. I mean, it's been peddled down our throats, whether it be the mainstream media, ABC, CBS, and ABC, whether it be the cable news networks, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, whoever, whether it be social media. Everybody said, "Andy, you sure do talk about X a lot." Well, I do like X. I think it's the best out of anything we've got, but it still has a lot of problems. But I'll tell you what, Facebook and Instagram are so bad. I didn't even get into all the stories on Instagram I had yesterday, where people are coming out and formally attacking Meta, which owns Instagram and Facebook, for purposely downing tools on parental controls. So I can go into my daughter's Instagram because she's got a teen account, and I can say, "Don't do this, 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 and this," and I basically lock it down, right? Well, if she sits there long enough, she'll start getting stuff that she doesn't need to see. "Andy, what are you saying? She's 17." "Yeah, when she leaves the house, she can go do what she wants to do. But since I'm paying for the phone, since I'm paying for the data, since I'm paying for her schooling, we're gonna make sure that there's just some things that she doesn't need to see on Instagram." And it's really the difference is night and day, to be quite truthful with y'all. When it comes to seeing a kid who has free access to social media and kids who don't. The really insidious thing about Instagram, and I'm kinda going back to yesterday a little bit, but I'm trying to paint a picture here for y'all on how Instagram doesn't care about reporting the news or anything like that. They're truly interested in controlling and wiring your mind to think a certain way. And what Instagram does to young women, they wanna post a picture, they see the likes, they see everything like that. And ladies out there, let's be truthful, you like to be told you're beautiful. Husbands, it's Friday, what you got planned for the weekend? Got a surprise lined up? Hope so. But women like to be told they're beautiful. Women like to be told how great they are, and they are. "Sweet pea, you're great. You're amazing. You're my ride or die, my bestie." and every woman wants to find that man in their life. But let me tell you, what Instagram does when they start playing with filters, when it starts making you look a different way, when you can all of a sudden start doing different things, and the truth of the matter is when this all first started back in, like, 2014, 2013, it was funny, but our brains weren't wired the way they're wired now. We didn't see where that was going to take us. I'm not even sure the people who planned what Instagram and Twitter, now X, developed into, I'm not even sure they realized it was gonna be that effective. In fact, I know they didn't realize it because they just got more bold and emblazoned because they kept on getting away with stuff. Having the FBI locked into X and Meta, banning and shadow banning conservatives, stifling free speech. Oh, it gets a lot worse than that. We're gonna take our last break real quick for the first hour. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. And we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show. First hour, essentially in the can. It goes by so quick, especially when we got great content. The chat's fired up, texting's fired up. Just to kind of close up the media content for this hour, how about Jimmy Kimmel? You know, when he was originally removed by ABC and then the FCC came in like Hulk Hogan and tried to do a leg drop to get the pin, messed it all up, had a referee come in from outside, bust the count, and fight, and the match went on. I want you to understand something. When the government tried to get in and get involved with Jimmy Kimmel, that just gave it new life. But the truth of the matter is, Jimmy Kimmel still sucks. And he's already shed 64% or 2.3 million viewers from his return to the late night. He's already crashing again. Look, Americans, we do not want anybody silenced per se. If the company makes a business decision that they have to take somebody off the air, well, then that's a business decision. It's not a freedom of speech decision. The free marketplace works when the free market is allowed to work. The thing is we put in rules and regulations to make the system work better. But all that those inputs, rules, and regulations do is just corrupt the thinking of it all. Yep. It's going to be one of those things where we're going to get Jimmy Kimmel now for the next 8 months because there's no way that they're going to take him off the air. That would just be incredible. Well, it'd be the right thing to do for ABC, but they won't do it. Disney there. And by the way, Disney, a lot of people, you know, who were on the left who didn't want to see Jimmy Kimmel censored, they blamed Disney, so they canceled their Disney Plus and their Hulu, which is great because that means that there's less pornographic material being pumped into our kids. That's really good in my opinion. And ABC and CBS or ABC and Disney lose money. Real quick here, we're checking Netflix. Whoa, down another 10.5 points today. So if you go back and look at Netflix over the last 6 months, they are in the positive. They are up 26% in the last 6 months. But in the last month, they're down 5.6%. And in the last 5 days, they're down 3.84% or another 56 points. So Netflix, we're not sure if that ban's going to work, but we'll find out. Keep it tuned in here to 103.9 WYAB. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show. We will be right back in about 7.5 minutes. Take care, everybody. And welcome back to the second hour of the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. It is Friday. Thank God it's Friday. It's Friday, y'all. The 3rd of October, 2025. And we are streaming on Rumble. We are streaming on X. We are streaming on YouTube. And we're streaming at WYAB.com. Really appreciate everybody tuning into the radio waves. But we appreciate those who are listening online as well. If you wouldn't mind giving us a like, a share, a retweet, whatever it is that you can do, we would appreciate it. You can follow me on X at Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. And the phone lines are open, 601-879-0002. And the text line is open too, 601-879-5060. Our mission today, should we choose to accept it, and we will, is to equip the saints. It's our standard mission. Who are the saints? You all are. We got to make sure that we're always planting, watering, but understanding that it's God that gives it the increase. That's right. Well, just reading the breaks, the texts in the chat over the break, people seem to think that Jimmy Kimmel is an actual creep. Guys, you never want to be called a creep. You can be called a lot of things, but you don't want to be a creeper, man. Chicks don't like that. Don't want to be a creeper. Want to read some of these other things. Brother Keith texted in, great show, appreciate it. Brother Rick always has interesting takes on stuff, and this was back when we were talking about nothing good happens after 11 o'clock. He goes, I agree, nothing good happens after 11. However, both of our mindsets are wrong. This is America 24/7. I should be able to walk the streets without fear at any time, and if something happens, I shouldn't have a problem protecting myself. Spot on. You shouldn't be that way, but we all know that there are just some things that are going to be more inclined to cause a problem or not. And the truth of the matter is if we're all bunkered in by 10 o'clock at night, and some of us work overnight, like we drive trucks. I'm not saying that, but if you're looking to attend a mass demonstration at night, things are going to get crazy. It just is. It's not good. So don't do it. And I have sound audio, and I was tempted to play it, of all of these left-leaning reporters talking about how they think that the country is blaming the Republicans and Trump for the shutdown. It's not true. It's not true. Because if we were really being blamed and people were really thinking like the Democrats want us to think, the stock market wouldn't be roaring. It's up 474 points right now. Meanwhile, Netflix is down. Uncle Elon might have to come out with another tweet or something to continue the push. But the stock market is having an incredible day. In fact, it's up over 1%, which is insane. And the 5-day report, the 5-day outlook, it's not even been in the red. You would think that with the government shutdown and with the liberals wanting you to believe what you believe, the stock market would be crashing, doom and gloom would be everywhere. Think about it. That's what they need us to believe. It doesn't even have to be real. They just need us to believe that things are bad right now. And they win. Meanwhile, those of us on the other side are living in reality, having to make decisions, having to do different things to get by. I mean, some of us, hey, blue collar crew, shout out to you. Shout out to you. I know I don't always thank the blue collar crew, but I do appreciate them. They send in pictures every once in a while. I dig that. But they want us to believe that it's miserable and hopeless out there, and that the only way to get back to where we were is through the leftist positions and the political positions of the Democrats. And it's just simply not true. And if America was truly ticked off at the Republican Party and President Trump, stock market would be going the other way, ladies and gentlemen. It would be going the other way. It's to the point now to where we have people who don't even necessarily tune into any of the major news organizations anymore because they just simply don't trust them. And why would you? What have they done? What have they done to actually report the truth? Whether we want to use Jimmy Kimmel, not Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel as an example. Again, it's all sound bites and slogans for the Democrats, no real solutions. And I think that's where the majority of us want solutions. That's why we are so for getting rid of the illegal aliens out of our country. We all see it now. We all see the negative impact it has in the local job market. We see the negative impact that it has in our schools. We see the negative impact it has in our healthcare system. We see the negative impact that it has in our housing market. These are things that we can't even that the left used to come up and debate and, would have a meaningful conversation about, but now you just can't do it. We've had reports from hospitals in LA that say, you know what, after that last big protest where the National Guard came in, things have calmed down a lot. The violence on the left hasn't. Yep, the housing market as well. You look at it and people are like, "What? It's driving up housing markets in some places." Yes, illegal immigration is driving up housing markets. It's making it more difficult for our younger kids who wanna get married and start a family and buy a home. It makes it harder for them. We want our citizens to be able to have that right. I mean, I as a father, I'm always saying, "Yep, find Mr. Right, get a house, have have a great family, live the dream." I want that for all my kids. And they shouldn't have to wait till they're 30 to start thinking about kids. Why wait? The school and here's the other thing too, we didn't even really talk about this yet, more in the next segment because this whole Turning Point USA situation here in Clinton, it's baffling. You have people well, we'll just wait till we get to the school, but getting back to the schools with what the left is teaching, it's just we don't believe that anymore either. The norms and values that are coming out of our schools are not in line and not congruent with the morals and values of the United States of America. You're just not. And the truth of the matter is that people for the longest time just didn't really want to talk about it because they didn't want confrontation. America was never afraid of a fight, but it wasn't always our first intention to just go out there and blow everybody off the place or face of the map. We'd always tried diplomacy, but it's to the point now to where, look, we have to remove these organizations that are fomenting discord, fomenting problems in our society, fomenting hate, quite frankly. One place that this isn't gonna have happen anymore, I gotta pull up the right story here. Give me just 1 second. Here we go. FBI ends formal partnership with the Anti-Defamation League, or the ADL, after Turning Point USA backlash. FBI Director Kash Patel terminated The Bureau's partnership with the Anti-Defamation League on Wednesday following the ADL's controversial classification of Turning Point USA as an extremist and criticism of past ties with former FBI Director James Comey. Why it matters. This splits marks a significant shift in the FBI's approach to external partnerships, emphasizing independence from advocacy groups amid growing political polarization and debates over extremism classifications in law enforcement. It is, and this is where some of the people some of the stuff I've read on Israel, some of it I just dismiss. Some of it is like, that's a really good point right there. I don't think the FBI should always partner with the community to do different things, but advocacy groups that are so politically leaning one way, whether it be the ADL or Antifa or whoever, do we want our police groups aligning themselves with issue advocacy groups? Moms Against Drunk Driving, for instance. I think that might be somewhere where it might be able to go. But there are other advocacy groups out there, Second Amendment people who want to limit the Second Amendment. Do we want our law enforcement working in conjunction with them? Supreme Court's taking up a case, and this just speaks to the Second Amendment issue. In Hawaii, you have to have permission to carry in certain places, and now they're challenging Hawaii's rule. They say it's too onerous, and the Supreme Court's going to hear it, which is going to be pretty awesome. Saying here that the Anti-Defamation League has a credibility crisis. Sources across political lines acknowledge that the ADL's diminishing credibility due to controversial classifications and perceived political bias in its extremism glossary. And it's true. People are saying that the ADL is anti-Christian. It is. And by the way, so is the country of Israel. You will get spit on over there. What was really amazing is when I was there in 1992, 1994, and 1995, I want to say 3 different times. I was never spit on once. One of my buddies was, but he was wearing his crucifix on his necklace outside. I didn't wear a necklace. I never thought the need to wear a necklace or anything like that. Just wasn't my style, wasn't in my wardrobe repertoire. It didn't fit my motif that I was going for. But now it's really bad. There's videos out there. You can go look them up. What's going on in Israel, um, they're having a literal come to Jesus moment. And they're struggling because they're attacking everybody, and even people who wanna support Israel are kind of looking at them going, "What the heck are you doing?" But back to the ADL. Coverage universally highlights how the ADL's continued classification of Turning Point USA as an extremist event, even after Charlie Kirk's assassination, intensified criticism and hastened the partnership's end. Well, that's good. The truth of the matter is we don't even know what a fascist is anymore in this society. You'll have people run around and scream it at you, and they'll tell you what they think a fascist is, but they don't even understand it, because if they did, we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in right now in the United States of America. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Oh, yeah. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. I kind of want to take a little detour off there. We're still focusing on everything that's going on in the world, but I talk a lot about social media. I rant and rave. I know I do against things like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. And I also talk about how I like X, but you got to be careful. The truth of the matter is this: there's a account out there called Right Scope, and you sit there, and if you lean to the right, I'm sure there's an account just like this. Instead of Right Scope, it's Left Scope, and they just come out 19 hours ago and put breaking. The commandant of the U.S. Coast Guard, Linda Fagan, has been terminated over her failure to address border security and her excessive focus on DEI via Fox. Do you support this? Yes or no? Well, most people are going to be like, yeah, I support that. And in fact, it's got 16,000 likes, almost 3,000 retweets, and 2,500 comments. But when you go and you look about this online, well, let's get the story, right? Admiral Linda L. Fagan, the first woman to lead the United States Coast Guard, was fired as commandant by the Trump administration on January 21st, 2025. See what they did there? They take that old story, even though it's factual, true. They get everybody fired up on it, and then what they come back and say, you didn't realize that this was 7 or 8 months ago, 9 months ago, 8.5 months ago to be technically correct. And I can go into all the reasons that she was fired, and we can have that discussion. And we are having that discussion right now within the military. People are absolutely doing. I can tell you that a lot of the people that I know inside the military are absolutely ecstatic about what's happening, especially some of my senior FGO friends. It's been a hard walk, and we can only hope that we can continue to improve our military morale, get the standards back to where they need to be. And the truth of the matter is, we're gonna have to realize that some people are in positions that they should have never been in, but they're there now. And as soon as we can get them replaced, we shall. Hopes fade for a quick end to shutdown as Trump readies for layoffs and cuts. This kind of leads into my other part of show prep today is the shutdown. And last night, there were 3 Democrats who voted with Republicans to end the shutdown. It's a bipartisan effort to start the government going again. I think it's awesome. And people who and, like, you don't hear even, like, my leftist texters who I do appreciate, and we get into some discussions and arguments sometime, but they're not even touching this because they know that the Democrats have this bought hook, line, and sinker, and it is these moderate Democrats who are in red states who know what their voters want, and they're not gonna stick with Chuck Schumer. You know, for a bartender, AOC does have some political chops. She has painted Chuck Schumer, who has been in the Congress since 1981, as we documented yesterday. She has and her bar stool, her bartending skills have painted the most senior and powerful Democrat in the US Senate into a neat little box. It's almost a box inside a box. It could actually be a box inside a box inside a box. Now, Schumer is running around trying to make sure that the Democrats don't fall into this because there's 3 Democrats who want this to end. That means that there's 56. They need 60 votes. And the truth of the matter is there used to back when the Senate actually functioned like how it was supposed to function with the filibuster and everything like that, y y it this would have never happened. But to be fair, you can't even blame the right on this, on the filibuster nuke option, because Chuck Schumer did it first, the nuclear option, back in 2008 or 2009, and at the time, Mitch McConnell still had his brain about him. Mitch McConnell said, "You're gonna rue the day that you did this." And Republicans, I think, could actually put in a rule to try to get the government back open, but they don't have to. The stock market's doing well. People are living their lives, doing their thing. People realize what the left has come to be, or has grown into and become: a bunch of fake news, propaganda, disinformation. I know for a fact that when I talk to my friends who are on the left, and we start talking about the political censorship of conservatives back in 2020, many of them who voted for Biden said if they would have known that the laptop was real and not fake, like, they would have voted the other way. Think about the lies, the manipulation. I mean, it is absolutely not even debatable what the left, the Democrats, and the big state behind them. I'm still not sure what to call them yet, but they've worked so hard to fool us. And yet here we are, 2025, October 3rd. We're still here. It's not gonna be the end of the world like the left wants people to believe. At some point, people on the left will have to go back to work. We will have to reform ourselves a little bit, and that's okay. I'm just praying that it doesn't actually come to any real intense violence. I pray that our ICE officers and agents and those who are supporting their efforts are safe. I don't want what happened in Portland to happen in Jackson or anywhere in the South. It'd be nice if they could just break down Portland and say, "We're not gonna have any more of this." We haven't heard too much more about the John Brown Shooting Club, have we? Hey, fascists catched in the QRC codes that were popping up all over campuses. I genuinely believe that the law enforcement agencies should look into that. You do not want to end up having, I mean, that's the scary thing, right? And this is why I'm not sure people really realize where America's going, what it's getting into, but when you start having groups just openly escalate and start doing bad things, it's gonna have generational effects. And if you don't believe me, go look at the study of the country of Colombia and the FARC, FARK, FARC. I can't remember what it stands for. It's the leftist political terrorist organization down there that moves a lot of coke. They're well trained. They're paramilitary, and while they're not nearly what they used to be, there was a long struggle in Colombia. It's worth people going looking up, getting smart on, because if we're not careful, we'll have that same thing happen right here. And we are the greatest country on God's green earth. We can do better. We don't need to descend into that kind of folly. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. And we are back at the Andrew Gosser Show right here at 103.9 WYAB. You know, Clay had Russ Latino in the studio yesterday talking about all the craziness that's going on in Clinton High School and them not getting a Turning Point USA chapter there. It's just not happening. I've made it evidently clear. I've reached out in a couple of different groups saying, look, I'd be more than happy to line everything up and help out with whoever needs the help if the school's not going to do it. Obviously, I want the students to try to go through the proper channels to get it done. But if the bottom line is that they're not going to be able to start doing stuff until next year because of the quote unquote rules, well, that's great. But there's no reason we can't start meeting now and doing things to help generate next year so it's even bigger and better. But I just want to say this. It's not just here in Mississippi that's having problems. You wouldn't expect it to have a problem here in conservative Mississippi. No. You expect that in places like Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, New York, California. Concordia student secures Turning Point USA chapter approval after a viral post. Concordia University of Wisconsin approved a student's application to start a Turning Point USA chapter after his online post about being denied went viral. I'm telling you, if these kids, and they're smart. Look, Clinton High School, the people always say, these high school kids, they don't know what the heck they're doing. They understand the things they understand very well. And the truth of the matter is that this college was not going to give them a Turning Point USA chapter because the faculty accused Turning Point USA of discriminating against liberals with the professor watch list. Because Turning Point does that. If there are liberal professors out there that are indoctrinating kids, Turning Point knows about them. Turning Point has people everywhere. You just can't blindly indoctrinate people. You get found out. And we are finding that stuff out. A university spokesman said the chapter was approved under the same review process as other clubs, but did not explain what changed. Because in the beginning, they said, nope, we're not going to go ahead and have a Turning Point chapter here. Turning Point USA is racist. They have a teacher watch list, and you're not going to denounce it. Well, then you're not going to have a club. So this guy, Jacob Turner, gets on X, and I'm telling you, if you hit it just right, the sweet spot, you hit it out of the park. I'm the Turning Point USA chapter president at Concordia University of Wisconsin. For 2 years, I fought to get our chapter recognized. Bureaucracy and stonewalling made me give up at one point. But after Chowder's passing, I found a fire that I've never felt before, and here's the real revival. And if Ghost takes him to his X account and loads up, basically 3 million views, 30,000 likes, 100 or 7,300 retweets. And here's what ended up happening to that. Yesterday, I shared that the Turning Point USA chapter I run in Concordia University of Wisconsin was denied recognition because I refused to denounce the professor watch list. I didn't expect the tweet to get much traction, but it turns out there's a real fire out there. I'm thrilled to announce that in less than 24 hours, our chapter has been officially approved and registered as a student organization. Now they can go around registering people to vote on campus. Now they can invite Turning Point USA there to set up a table and have open debate on a campus. This young gentleman, Jacob Turner, wrote, "Huge thank you to Congressman Derek Van Orden." Don't know who that guy is, but for stepping in on such an notice and helping everyone show support for me. And he invites the congressman to show up. He thanks Elon for the post getting out there. It just goes to show you that here in Mississippi, we don't necessarily take advantage of the power of social media like that. We do get posts that go viral and go and create a ripple in the political sphere, but nothing really big like that. I would hope that these kids, go ahead and do everything they can do to try to get a club. But if not, go hit up Uncle Elon. Feel free to hit me up. I'd be more than happy to put anybody in any high school within the reach of my voice in contact with Turning Point. Have some good friends there, and if there's any issue or any problem, we can try to help smooth that along and try to make that happen. But to think that our kids are not being indoctrinated, and you don't think that schools, organizations do not want conservative thought in they don't want it in preschool, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, senior university, master's, doctorate. They don't want it. They cannot handle the heat and the scruples of being held to rigor. Their arguments don't stand up. No one, and I haven't said this in a long time, but no one has called in and named me one country where socialism or communism works. It never works. It will never work. A representative republic and free market principles bounded on the Judeo-Christian values of our forefathers. Well, that worked for 250 years before we started diluting it and polluting it. Miss Dee is in the chat saying that they were talking about the Turning Point USA clubs on the Charlie Kirk show yesterday. They said just to reach out to them and they would set them up with everything they need. That's awesome. I hope that they've got hooked up into Turning Point, and it's my goal. It's one of the goals of this show in 2027 and 2028 to have a revival in the Republican Party here. Just more conservatives involved. Not saying take over, burning down the party. Nope, not saying that. But I'm saying, yep, have more people plugged in so that we know how the sausage is made and how we can have real change when we need it. Lots of people texting in saying they didn't know about the Turning Point chapter in Wisconsin. Yep, I retweeted that. So if you go and well, I retweeted that. So if you want to go on my X account and go ahead and look that up, you can. I clicked over there. It should be good to go. I'm excited for what Turning Point's going to become. I'm going to miss Charlie greatly, as I'm sure all of us do and will. But it's time. Morning period. Morning. I'm done mourning. I'm ready to get to work. We have to get to work. Quite truthfully, what the left was hoping for was for everybody to become afraid, to speak out, afraid not to do what Charlie was doing. But now even more people want to do it. Some people appear to be grifting. Some people are really doing it. It's great. Steven Crowder actually went on the campus. Did it prove me wrong? He hadn't done one in a long time. Chat's blowing up. These professors are ruining the future generations. Yes, leftist liberal professors are trying to ruin future generations. Think of what they're doing just in transgender theory alone. They are screwing up all of these kids. They're screwing up to 20% of these kids who think that they are genuinely transgender. And these kids can't even look for a minute and say, have we ever had this problem in history before? No. So what makes the change now? And the truth is, it's these anxiety devices pumping in a bunch of crap that we shouldn't be consuming. That's just the truth of the matter. And you don't even have to be necessarily looking for it. It could pop up in a weird ad. We were talking about Google Alphabet having to pay all that money and being found that they are doing a lot of improper things and fined. with YouTube and banning and such. If they can do that, they can do anything. And whoever is controlling the quote unquote algorithm, that's where the power is. That's where the power is. Yep, Dee Dee's got it right. She says, "Charlie said not to mourn him. He said to double down." Where did you see that Charlie said not to mourn him? Because I have to say this too, now that you said that, Dee Dee. There were some AI videos out there of Charlie after his assassination where you thought it was him alive. The AI was so good. And, I mean, his message in the AI Charlie was really good, but I that scares the hell out of me. Because you can have AI Charlie, AI Jesus, and they say all the right things, and then a year later, they change it just a little bit. Just change it just a little bit. Much like the internet, back when it first started up, there was a lot of great places to go to learn stuff, and you could actually find out stuff, and it was very positive. Now, you try to search something for on Google, and you get the AI printout, and it just takes you down a long, nasty road that you really don't wanna go down. But that's just the way where we're at here in America and in the world. The internet's here to stay. X isn't going away. Facebook's not going away. Insta's not going away. TikTok, well, they said it was gonna go away, but it ended up not going away. We have to figure out how to inoculate, I know that's a bad word, but we have to figure out how to inoculate our kids from all the garbage on social media. And I'm telling you, kids are out there, they do wanna unplug, they do enjoy it. But it takes good parents who stand up and say, "You know what? You're better than this. You're my kid. We don't act this way. We don't do those things. We don't talk that way. We don't look at that kind of hot garbage. We don't need it. We're better than that." And slowly take back our culture one kid at a time, one day at a time. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show. Final segment of the week. Really happy that it was a good week. We got to talk about a lot of different things. Next week, programming note here, I'm going to have Chris Hinkle fill in for a day or two. And he's talking about what he's going to have on tap for Monday. On Monday, he's got town hall columnist Jim Nance and Chris Salcedo from Newsmax lined up. No, there might be a substitute teacher here, but there are no free days. Everybody gets homework, and that's important. And I'm really grateful and thankful to Chris and Chip, who are helping out next week. Definitely is going to be a good time. I just wanted to put that out there so people wondering, hey, where's Andy? I'm fine. Just going to take a little bit of time off, and grateful and thankful to everybody at WYAB who allowed me to help that out. Well, you know what time it is. It's Friday. We've got about 2 minutes left, and we've got to talk about what's really important in life, and that's our family and our friends. It's our kids. It's our social organizations that we think are important, that we need to be a part of. And I'm just curious, what all are your plans for this weekend? What all are your plans to go out and not just make a better community, better neighborhood, but what are you going to do for your spouse? What are you going to do for your beautiful wife or your wonderful husband? You know, these are things that in the day-to-day life where we get sucked into social media, we get sucked into the news cycle. Those of us who follow politics sometimes follow politics more than we follow our spouse. We pay more attention to that than what's going on with our spouse inside our own home, inside our family. We got to do a better job of that, man. And the beautiful thing about it is, most of the time, I won't say all the time, but most of the time when you go reach out and you do something spontaneous and unexpected, it is rewarded. And I'll tell you what, Sweet Bee, you are amazing. I could not do this radio gig without you. You're fantastic. We're going to have a great time. And this is just one of those things where I get to go ahead and not only give back to the Sweet Bee, my family, my daughter, we're all going to have a great time, but get to give back to you, the listening audience. And if you haven't made a plan yet to go out there and do something for your spouse, I highly encourage it. Flowers. You would be surprised, man. Ladies, you know what to do. You all have a wonderful and blessed weekend. We'll talk to you soon.